There are 6 seconds left in the game. The Lakers are down by 1, and the ball isn't in the hands of Luka Doncic or LeBron James. They're both in street clothes, watching from the bench. There are no all-stars left on the active roster, and no ascending lottery picks waiting for their moment. There's just one player left with enough on-ball creativity to give them a fighting chance, and he's an undrafted 5th-year player from a tiny town in Arkansas with 0 stoplights. Whether Los Angeles starts strong or stumbles all comes down to this moment, and it rests on the shoulders of a small-town cowboy who bet the ranch on himself. This was a moment Austin Reaves was never supposed to have, but he doesn't look like someone who's really ever given much thought to that. Every prospect that's approaching draft day tends to have the same strategy. Do whatever you can to go as high as you can. Honestly, it's not even a strategy, it's just common sense. Better contracts, more lucrative endorsement deals, even more consistent opportunities for playing time are all sitting at the top of the draft order. It's simple. The higher someone goes, the longer their runway is. Of course, for Austin Reaves, the idea of going anywhere close to the lottery was a far-fetched dream that his humble roots wouldn't allow. Realistically, the pride of Newark, Arkansas was looking at something near the beginning of the 2nd round. That's not a gaudy honor. Most kids don't grow up dreaming of the deputy commissioner calling their name, but at the same time, it's still a cosign from an NBA team. It's a moment that every basketball player has turned over in their heads anytime their focus drifts into their imagination. And when he was right on the precipice of realizing it, Reaves turned it down. At his request, his agent sent a clearly articulated note to every team interested in drafting the dynamic guard. Have a guaranteed deal ready or don't pick him. The thing is, teams don't give guaranteed deals to 2nd-round picks, and both Reaves and his agent knew that. They intentionally submarined his draft stock, guaranteeing his ability to choose his own team as an undrafted free agent, even though that meant they were taking another pay cut. Now look, this is bizarre. It's an all-in kind of move from a player with no chips left to gamble, but depending on the destination, it could make sense. Choosing a franchise like the Spurs or the Warriors, teams with proven track records of development and investment regardless of pre-draft hype, could be a massive boost to a career that's starting behind the 8 ball. But Reaves didn't pick either of those. He chose the guys 2 years removed from a championship, built around 2 incredibly high-profile superstars. At this point, it was starting to look like he had actually lost his mind. Any Lakers fan will tell you, getting drafted by LA doesn't mean much. They sent an entire young core to New Orleans for Anthony Davis, and before that, they had a history of quickly moving on from prospects if they failed to keep up with some ridiculous expectations. And that's just the price that comes with the Hollywood spotlight. Reaves deciding to take his chances with this team while they were on a win-now timeline felt painfully naive. It was like all of those cautionary tales of small-town hopefuls with big dreams moving to the city of stars only to find a sea of ambivalence. Reaves wasn't a wide-eyed dreamer. He was just a lone ranger who'd rather bet on his 6 shooter than adapt. And I mean, that's a cool image, but it doesn't mean much if he can't pull it off. Until he did. Against all odds, the former Sooner secured a spot with the team before the season started, and by the end of training camp, the Lakers had seen enough. They were ready to sign him to a guaranteed 2-year deal, and immediately, he made it look like a great investment. He was an off-the-bench spark plug that LA could count on to defend and knock down threes. Nothing revolutionary, but still, it was more than anyone could have expected from the undrafted combo guard who spent all 4 years in college. Reaves looked set for a lengthy career of making timely plays and hustling for loose balls. Then his second year rolled around, and the grassroots hooper took another step forward. In his sophomore season, Reaves was given some on-ball responsibilities, and it became clear this wasn't your run-of-the-mill white guy with a good attitude and a finely tuned jumper. There was a little southern drawl to his game, a little tang that caught everyone off guard. He had size-ups that moved to a rhythm that seemed to be inventing itself, and counters that looked spontaneous. All of a sudden, he was running the offense in spurts on top of his duties as a floor spacer and defensive chaser. Things were starting to feel a little Hollywood, like there was some underdog magic in the air. In LA, that hype was growing. Rumblings of a hillbilly Kobe breathing some life into what was an otherwise disappointing season. It was a fun little narrative to distract from Darvin Ham's aloof attacks on Laker basketball.
The key to the game thus far, we're giving them too much. Gotta be disciplined, show our hands.
But in the playoffs, it became something bigger. After deconstructing a fractured Grizzlies team in round 1, the Lakers ran into the defending champs, led by a player that LeBron James knew all too well, the magnet ball marauder, the Bay Area bomber, the man who broke the game of basketball, Stephen Wardell Curry.
The Curry, behind the back, 3-point is up. Oh! Stephen Curry! Curry from half court. Take over a little bit to make it a 1-point.
There were a lot of concerns heading into this matchup. Keeping up with the 3-point pace, matching Jordan Poole's bench production, keeping Klay Thompson from finding a rhythm. But the single thing weighing the heaviest on everyone's mind was the thing that keeps everyone up the night before they play the Warriors. How in the world were they going to slow down Steph? He had put up a generational finals run the year before and extinguished the Beam team with a 50 ball less than a week ago. Every defender in the league had taken a run at him, and every one of them walked off the court staring at the floor, trying to put their broken brains back together. LA didn't have a plethora of versatile guards to lean on, or a rotation of quick-footed guards to disrupt his rhythm, so they did the only thing they could. They threw the young cowboy at him. Reaves was asked to chase Curry around ball screens, stick with him when he decided to create on his own, and in his spare time, provide the same offensive boost that he usually did. That's an insane thing to ask anyone, but expecting it from someone in his second year in the league is almost cruel. Still, Reaves never backed down from a gunfight, and he did what he could. He didn't shut down Curry, because even implying that is basketball heresy, but he made him work for every bucket, and against Steph, that's a massive accomplishment. In the first 3 games, it looked like all of that running around was wearing him down on the other end. It wasn't ideal, but the Lakers were up 2-1, so it was perfectly acceptable. But in game 4, they needed more from him. Steph was determined to fuel the offense by any means necessary, and against that onslaught, LA needed all hands on deck. It was Reaves' first have-to-have-it playoff moment, and he came through with a combination of patient spot-ups and aggressive downhill drives. The Warriors responded with a 20-point blowout back in San Francisco, setting up a win or go back to the Bay Game 6, and the Lakers did not want to go back to the Bay. This was it, an opportunity to stamp himself as something more than a pleasant surprise in the league, a chance to remove any doubt from the minds of Laker fans, to show what that 6-shooter could do, the biggest moment of his basketball career. And Austin Reaves walked on the court like he was a headliner, a lone cowboy fighting back against the West.
Do you still feel like you have to prove that you belong here?
No, not really.
2.5 to go. Got it to Reaves. Slam dunk. Down the middle foul. Count him. It goes. And it goes. 3-pointer. Reaves. It's good by Austin. Good. Another 3. Good. What a night for Austin Reaves.
LA was moving on, and Austin Reaves wasn't a nice undrafted pickup anymore. He was an essential part of the Lakers' core. Next season, his role grew again, and even though the Lakers would fall in the first round to the same low-post wizard who dismissed them last year, people still believed in California's last cowboy. That offseason, there was a coaching change. To the joy of all Lakers fans, Darvin Ham was out and JJ Redick was in, which meant a more modern offense would be debuting in Los Angeles. Through the first half of 2025 with a little more clarity in the offensive side of the ball. Reaves looked prime for another breakout, not as a catalyst or a spark plug, but as LA's lead guard. Reaves had built a repertoire with Anthony Davis in the pick and roll game, and JJ Redick was acutely aware of it. After a couple months with LeBron's podcasting partner calling the shots, the idea of an all-star selection started to come in the picture, and for the more ambitious fans, that was only the start. That absurd gamble he made at the beginning of his career was starting to look more and more like an inspired moment of genius, but that's when the deck got reshuffled.
Guys, this is the most stunning trade in NBA history. In the last several days, I'm told the Dallas Mavericks called the Los Angeles Lakers and offered Luka Doncic in a trade.
Why are we trading the best player, the franchise player? How are we trading the franchise player? He went to the NBA Finals. He's supposed to have a statue. Hell yeah. He's supposed to have a statue.
It's never a bad thing to play next to Luka Doncic. The Slovenian superstar generates great looks for his teammates like few people in NBA history. But for Reaves, the addition of a heliocentric creator like Luka threw his role back into question. The fact that it was a mid-season trade didn't help either. There was no training camp or offseason to figure things out. He just had to find a way to adjust to the new all-world talent he was sharing a backcourt with. For the rest of the regular season, the two made strides piecing together a new flow. It was a lot more off-ball work for Reaves, but that was something he was used to. And when Luka or LeBron needed a breather, he was still right there, ready to carry the offense. He handled this unclear, hybrid-type role as well as anyone could through the regular season. But when the playoff bracket finalized, the Lakers drew an opponent designed to stress-test backcourts. Minnesota's reformed identity was all about pressure. They attacked relentlessly with a steady rotation of long, athletic defenders, taking full advantage of increased physicality allowed in the playoffs. This would have been a challenge for any guard that season, but without a real sense of chemistry or a true pick-and-roll big man, Reaves looked overmatched. Of course, in reality, it was more complicated than that. It was a team with a cohesive identity, battling one that was still in the early stages of forming one, but that's a longer headline and more complicated than a box score. What the country saw was a hyped player struggling, and a bunch of stat lines that looked a lot lower than they expected. Reaves' percentages were down, his production was stagnant, and the Lakers lost in 5 games. In some markets, that kind of disappointment would have been fine, but not in Los Angeles. For the rest of the offseason, every fan of the purple and gold dedicated countless think pieces and discussions to the question of what to do with Austin Reaves. He was officially considered a potential trade piece, an enticing part of a package that could deliver a proven co-star to pair with Luka long-term. After all, it was 2 years since his breakout series, and this was the second consecutive season the Lakers failed to make it past the first round. Context goes out of the window when things get too frustrating, and nothing frustrates a fan base used to championships like stagnation. That leads us to this season, Austin Reaves' ultimatum. There were no public statements or rumors of trade discussions, but we all know how this cycle goes. Reaves had until the trade deadline to make his place on this team clear, and if he failed to do that, he'd be trying to do the same thing somewhere else. It was the final hand in that heart-pounding poker game he started back in 2021. Nerves, anxiety, even a little bit of rust. All that would have been perfectly understandable, but none of it showed up. From opening night, he was lights out. Not lights out for Austin Reaves, lights out period. He was playing off of Luka with ease, pushing the issue within the flow of the offense, and leveling up his game before our eyes yet again. 50 points in Sacramento, 40 in Portland, and then finally 26 points and 16 assists through 47 minutes and 54 seconds against none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves. No Luka on the court, no LeBron, just Austin Reaves with Jaden McDaniels in front of him, and the game on the line. A hang, a cross, a floater over the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and one eloquent response to every theoretical trade package imagined in the offseason. The Lakers didn't need another superstar. They already had one.